Meanwhile, permission for approval has also been denied to another food giant. Processed meat company Venky's is also under the scanner. Permission has been denied for at least 3 of its products, including the popular ready-to-eat chicken Arabic-style kofta and crispy chicken burger patty. Special K-Red berries cereal from Kellogg's has also been blacklisted by the food regulator FSSAI. Okay, remember, this is, of course, the bulletin where you can call in with your views or, of course, with whatever information you have. Muhammad Amir is a viewer joining us now from Bangalore. Mr. Amir, how do you look at this entire crackdown? Does this shock you in terms of the brands that we are talking about because they are so big? Mr. Muhammad Amir, can you hear me? Looks like we've lost the viewer, but remember you can call in on 0120-480-7310. That's the number to call and connect and have your say on the issue, because across the country, of course, there seems to be mixed reactions. Let's get in a word from Prem Lata, another of our viewers who is now joining us from Mumbai. Ma'am, what do you have to say on this entire issue? Are you shocked that such global giants, in fact, are also under the scanner?
Yes, I think it's absolutely shocking that it's an international brand with a big name, and we expected them to have certain quality control, which is also not there. And now I'll doubt myself, and every other time I go out, I'll be suspicious of what I order and what I drink. And how have these products passed through the cracks, and what is wrong with them, and what were the specifications that it did not meet? It's really bewildering, and I don't know what to do now and where to go and whether we can go out and drink and eat at all or not.
Okay, so there is, of course, that degree of confusion that everybody is now facing. Thanks a lot for, of course, calling us up and giving your perspective. Also, Dr. Verma is now on the phone line from Nasik. Dr. Verma, clearly, you know, in India, people question that when you look at the quality of street food that is served, when you look at the quality of dhabas, smaller restaurants, is it possible to go in for very strict, in fact, food safety regulations? So when it comes to even the bigger brands actually not living up to those standards, does the scenario get more disappointing?
Yeah, but, you know, we got to see it in perspective, my friend, because, you know, you have brands and you have brands. I mean, there you have in India where you have dhabas and you don't know what you're eating, and suddenly there is a crackdown. I can understand that FSSAI has some regulation, but banning a substance suddenly in a crackdown, it smells a rat, and that has to be very careful about. Banning anything is not good, my friend, whether banning a book or an essential commodity or something that we are eating. Banning is something that...
So you think there is something more than meets the eye here?
Absolutely, absolutely, because there you have competitors. India is an emerging economy. There are companies. India is an economy that people are dying to enter, my friend. And there are national companies which are competing with international brands. And there has to be something, and you got to be very careful about it, my friend.
Okay.
And as a channel also, as a media house, you have a very reputed media house. I think you should take a very balanced line, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Verma, for joining us from Nasik. Let's also cut across to Gujarat, where Deepen now joins us. Deepen, what do you have to say about this entire issue? Do you think that Indian labs are really competitive enough to be, so that we know for sure that they are acting on evidence here against all of these global brands?
Yes, I do agree with their perspective towards, I mean, their view towards the brands. I think Indian labs are really capable of doing so, because even in United States, I lived there for at least 4 to 5 years, and I was working in different labs. And if you call different companies to say order supplies or some technical issue, there were so many Indians on the other side of the calls, which always helped me in that sense. So even US is hiring Indian people for the same purpose, and it's clear. I mean, India is nothing less in terms of quality control.
Okay, so you think that, of course, India In fact, it's good of the government to be actually waking up and going ahead with all these quality controls. Thanks much for joining us, Mr. Dipen. Ramesh, in fact, another viewer now is on the phone line from Mumbai with us. Mr. Ramesh, do all these, in fact, news reports that have now been coming up, have they affected the way you've been making your eating choices?
Well, I think this is a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, government didn't know about all this. They were aware. The only thing we Indians wake up, we have a knee-jerk temporary reaction to everything. You tell us to stop eating cheap food. Now it's label products. What do we do?
As a consumer, have you been worried all these years what you are eating, what you are partaking of, especially even in the bigger restaurants?
We knew. Look at McDonald's. You think, other branded things. That way we'll have nothing to eat. Let there be a consistent policy. Let there be, there should be a proper policy at the top level. These knee-jerk reactions, for a few days you make halal and then everything settles down.
Okay, so you just think that this is a knee-jerk reaction. Thank you, Mr. Ramesh from Mumbai. We also have, in fact, a viewer now calling in from the national capital of Delhi itself. Mr. Sujoy, what would you like to say? Do you agree with the previous caller who thinks that this is more of a knee-jerk reaction, really?
I have an opinion on this. This was when Maggi thing boiled out, there was an ingredient which was a part of this package which is known as a flavor enhancer E635. And somebody said Google it, and when you Googled it, you found it's supposed to be a meat extract. Now the point is that if this is supposed to be a meat extract, how was it labeled as a green triangle or a green spot, something suitable for vegetarians? Now if that is possible, then what do we trust on? Should we trust the FSSAI for allowing certain norms to pass through? Or shall we say that the FSSAI norms were fine, but the manufacturers played around with the technical terms? What is E635? Nobody knows what is E635. And unless somebody points it out. So that somebody, for a vegetarian like me, it's like a crime which has gone. For me, I refuse to disturb about that.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
Okay, clearly, there are questions that are being raised here. Thanks much, Mr. Sujoy, for joining us from Delhi. Mr. Govinder, in fact, is now from Ludhiana with us. Well, we seem to have lost that line with Govinder, but Santosh is there from Haryana. Santosh from Hyderabad, in fact, what do you have to say really on this entire controversy? Is it good of the government to be waking up, or is this more panic that is being created amongst consumers? Santosh, looks like we've lost you. We will also request all our viewers, in fact, who are calling in to kindly mute their television, in fact, volumes before you call us. Otherwise, there will be a problem. Shobhan is also on the phone line. Yes, Mr. Shobhan, so what do you think about this? Do you think that there is, in fact, unnecessary panic being created amongst consumers?
No, I don't think there is a panic over there, but it is a good thing that these informations are being brought out. I think the parents will come to know about the bad effects of some of these international products. And I don't know where the professional ethics stands among the people who are working in these organizations. It's good all these informations are coming out in the news nowadays.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Santosh. Kirti is also on the line from Mumbai. Kirti, as a consumer, have you been aware all this while about what is the product that you're eating? Do you check the label for the ingredients, or now with all these raids in fact being conducted with the FSSAI climbing down, you will actually be a more perhaps aware consumer?
You know what, we have been aware of all these things happening because as we eat and as the children, have their habits and all, we are aware that these things are happening. But we were so helpless because the government or these authorities were sleeping by far. And they allowed all these people to, have a free hand on the market and throw all the dumping collecting from the world to India. But right now, it is such a good thing that at least they are cracking down on them, and with the message being sent out that other people also will be checked like this is amazing. So I'm happy that at least they are being targeted.
Yes.
So much salt is added in these days food that pressure is going to be as major as diabetes in this country tomorrow.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Of course, you think that India is sending out the tough message that as far as our food industry is concerned, we are not ready to be the world's junkyard. Padiyap from Kochi is also on the phone line. Padiyap, what do you have to say on this issue?
Thank you. What I would like to convey is the lot of media coverage about a lot of brands being checked. And then there is no follow-up saying following brands are free of this thing or has got no problem. That is one issue. Second, this is, I think, blown out of proportion, pardon my saying so, by media too.
Okay, you think that this is blown out of proportion. So mixed reactions coming in really. Ria from Surat, what do you have to say? Where do you stand on this debate? Is there a tone of exaggeration, perhaps a level of babudam at play out here, or is this much needed action?
There is a much needed action in this. Why? Because firstly, these brands are there so that we trust them, and they have the customer oriented terms. And they want to make trust in us. And if they are asking us for money, they should give us the quality and safety terms. Where we should stand with them. Okay. Because if they cannot build a trust in us, how do we pay them or trust and go there every day?
Absolutely. This is about the consumer's rights and about, that promise of trust which these companies must, in a way, deliver. Let's cut across to Pune, where Bhaskar now joins us. Mr. Bhaskar, you belong to a city, Pune, Nagpur. These are cities where we see just so many students and professionals, perhaps a lot of people who actually depend on fast food, on ready-to-eat food, on packaged products. What is a reaction from you in a city like Pune?
I was watching this news for a pretty long time, especially since the Maggi outbreak. But I'm really appalled that why don't they check the water quality in major cities where these problems are reported? Because I suspect the water contains lead. I also suspect there's a certain amount of pollution that takes place in the manufacture of these products, for which the concerned ministries are responsible for it. Why not blacklist those ministers and ministries?
That's a very pertinent question that you raised. Thank you so much, in fact, Mr. Bhaskar, for joining us with those questions. Let's also cut across to Bengaluru, in fact, where Dr. Chakradhar now joins us. Dr. Chakradhar, if I assume that you are, in fact, it's a doctorate from the medical field and not the literature, the field of literature. How do you look at these health issues? Is it important? Is it high time that people in a time when, they are suffering from diabetes, from lifestyle-related disorders, from obesity, it's even more important to be conscious about what you eat?
Of course, it's really important. But the most important question that we need to ask is, these are multinational companies. Why don't you get their products that are brewed in the U.S. or anywhere else and use the same product to test in our labs and see what is the difference? I think it's a knee-jerk reaction from the government to start banning all the products, because it's really important to understand whether it's the same product that is being supplied in India or is a different quality of standards, as the previous caller has said. When we have pipelines which contain high amount of lead and the quality of water that we get is completely different. So we need to understand the whole perspective and make a decision out of it, rather than banning the products and trying to, because we need foreign investment into the country. That's really important. If you start doing this, then nobody else is going to come into the country, basically.
Absolutely. Another very pertinent point being raised there, Dr. Chakradhar, this might actually lead to perception problems also for those foreign brands looking at the Indian markets waiting to come in. But thank you so much for joining us. Suresh, in fact, joins us from Coimbatore. Suresh, one of the previous viewers, in fact, also said that, what are the conditions under which, in fact, these companies are manufacturing in India? You look at the quality of water, you look at the pollution index, and Indian authorities and Indians themselves also to be blamed for failing standards.
Hi. After the Maggi row, the Food and Safety Department should work better. They should coordinate with all the state governments. It's not only Maggi. Also, there should be a samples tested on even Coke and Pepsi.
Okay. So you think that, of course, this bracket needs to be extended to other products as well. Thank you so much. Let's cut across live to Srinagar, where Nasir now joins us. Nasir, again, we've seen products like Maggi, which have been so popular, especially everybody seems to have a story about most of these packaged products. But they also come with labels of the FSSAI themselves. Now, when, of course, this clampdown happens, do you, as a consumer, get deterred? You don't want to take and consume these products anymore?
Absolutely, you are right, ma'am. You are right. I agree with you. But just for a moment, I want to tell you that you are again and again telling that India has sent a tough message. For sending a tough message, you need to do something more. Just by banning these couple of brands and checking, it's not enough. It's not enough. go right from food items to drugs and everywhere. You see, the disease of cancer is very much in India.
Right.
Every one of the 10 is suffering of this disease, and it is all because of these carcinic things in these trips and this. So I want to tell you that India has to do a lot.
Okay, okay, Mr. Nasir, perhaps, just saying that we are taking a tough stand does not help. Let's also get in a word from Raj, another viewer who joins in from Mumbai. Yes, sir, you are in the financial capital of India where a lot of people, in fact, eat out, not just necessarily eat at their homes. What can people do about it?
I'm not sure what people can do about it, but I think it's also very important that we start looking inwards. We're talking a lot about international brands. What about things that are consumed and manufactured in India? What about local products? I buy a packet of milk today and it's adulterated. There's adulteration in everything.
Yes.
From your masalas to the kind of pesticides used in vegetables. I think this is a much general theme or subject that really needs to be looked into deeply.
Absolutely. People's basic right to clean water or to maybe, the vegetables that we eat, we get to hear these reports that they might also be injected. But thanks so much for joining us, of course, with your view. We'll again, in fact, move towards Srinagar, where Salif, another of a viewer, in fact, is on the phone line. Mr. Salif, what do you have to say, really? Do you think that here this will only lead to panic and less of solid action? Or that perhaps the Indian authorities need to make sure that the quality of, the air quality index, the water that they are providing to these companies, in fact, that also needs to be checked for standards?
Ma'am, first of all.
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please go ahead.
Ma'am, be it from any sector, ma'am, FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods or packaged goods, we have to check it before we buy it. Or be it any consumer when buys something or product, we have to check it because our label does not show our intent. Starbucks coffee that was launched in October, I think it was stored in Bombay. It may be their glamorous entry into the Indian market, but Indian authorities should check before they establish their markets here.
Okay, so in fact they should be particular about the companies even before they have allowed them in and not just go after them after they have set up shop here. Thanks so much, Salif, for joining us. Let's take in fact the views of our last caller today, Ravi Chandran, who now joins us from Chennai. Mr. Ravi Chandran, where do you stand on this debate? Is it a knee-jerk reaction or a much-needed action?
There is no doubt it's a much-needed reaction. But the only thing is, we should not end up blaming the quality of water and, the pollution around all that. Because being a responsible manufacturers and, big names in the market, they are supposed to put in place an effective system to, standardize everything. Otherwise, there will be no difference between these people and street side vendors. So people, consumers believe these people, these big names, and they go there. So it is the responsibility of these big names to ensure that they are, giving quality food to the people. And the government also should take, sustained efforts to maintain that. It should not be, ending up as a one-time action.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Chandran from Chennai. And thanks to all our viewers who took time out to really call in and express their views. Mixed reactions coming in. While, of course, most people think that, yes, it is important to regulate the quality of the food that people here in India eat. But they're also questioning if this is a knee-jerk reaction. And perhaps the government also needs to ensure that there have to be regulatory practices even before these big giants come into and set shops. Because remember, when you walk into that big shop, you pay all the money for that product. Well, it's a wrap here. We will be, of course, tracking all the news and other developments on India Today.